my name's Kelsey. My student ID number is 3201345, and I am doing my AVMA task list video for radiology. So the first thing I'm going to start talking about is our radiation monitoring device. It's a dosimetry badge. It is a tiny badge that has it's a thermoluminescent badge that has a film in it that measures the radiation that we are taking in. We get reports on this. We send them in it's quarterly, we send them in, and then we get our reports back showing how much radiation we were exposed to. And when we do our radiation or our radiographs, we always wear our dosimetry badges. It'll go on our thyroid collar and it hooks to the front of that. I'll show you in just a second. But the maximum permissible dose for vet staff annually is 5,000 milligrams. And I'm going to show you in our book how much radiation we are exposed to each quarter. So if you will follow me here. Okay, we got ours early because we had to send back a dosimetry badge, but it shows who it is and their body dose, and I didn't have any milligrams counted this time, but my lifetime, my deep is 114, my eye is 120, and my shallow is 121, so I am well below the maximum dose. So to discuss our PPE, or our personal protective equipment, first you have your lead apron. You want to visually look over all of your equipment before you put it on, just to make sure there's not any tears or cracks, something that needs to be addressed quickly that might lead to more radiation in you because of it being messed up. So you put them on, ours tie, you always tie it in the front. And then we have our thyroid collars, which you put on to protect your thyroid here. And then you will put your dosimetry badge on the front of your thyroid collar. And then we have gloves, they're lead gloves. And our clinic does not use them, but we other personal protective equipment is like goggles, but we don't use them. Okay, so to go over general radiation safety, there's 3 types of methods of restraint for radiology. There's chemical, which would be like your sedation. There's restraint physical, which you and hopefully somebody else would be doing with you. And then there's also things like V-troughs or tie downs, which would be like gauze or like a lead rope basically, and tape. There's also another form of restraint that doesn't have you physically doing it, like the V-troughs, the tape, the tie downs, which would also be sandbags. Our clinic doesn't use them, but that is an option. Okay, other than those types of PPE, there's another type that is physical, where you could actually leave the room and there'd be like lead or concrete walls that divide you and the radiation room. That way you aren't directly affected by the radiation. Anybody who doesn't need to be in the room or taking the radiographs should definitely leave the room, stand behind the walls, and that way they aren't exposed to any unnecessary radiation. Distance and exposure time can be used as a safety method because like your time, if you always use your shortest exposure time possible and decrease your repeats on it, use your technique chart. It will help you to lessen the time that you're doing the radiographs. Also your distance, always stay as far away as possible from the radiation and the primary beam. Small increases in distance will dramatically decrease your exposure to the radiation. When taking radiographs, no one should be shielded or unshielded in the direct radiograph. You don't want your fingers in it, even if you have a lead glove on. No one should be in that direct radiation because it's unnecessary exposure time. The PPE will not protect against the primary beam, only the scatter radiation. So even if you're wearing your gloves and your lead apron and everything and you're in that x-ray, you're still not protected and it is unnecessary. Non-essential personnel should not be in the room during radiographs. There's no reason for them to be in there if they aren't directly taking the radiograph. It's unnecessary exposure time, it puts them at risk, and you're not practicing your correct radiation guidelines. Also, if a person is pregnant or under the age of 18, they don't need to be taking the radiographs because the radiation is harmful to rapidly dividing cells. So it will hinder the growth, and it can cause lots of things like infertility. Okay, so I'm going to do my cranial caudal view of the radius and ulna. So what you need to do is measure the middle of and Gigi is sedated right now. It's about 2.5, almost 3. So then we will go over here to our chart, and we're going to do bone. Our KVP needs to be 50, and our MAS needs to be 0.6. So we're doing small animal and bone. We're going to use this smaller cassette to radiograph onto her. Oh my God. This is sad. Good girl. Set the frame of the x-ray. We're going to do her right side, so I have a metal lead marker. We're going to put it on here out of the way, and we're going to use one of our methods of restraint, and we're going to tape her little paw down. And the tape obviously won't show up on the x-ray. Just like that. Yeah, good job, George. I'm going to hold her head out of the way. Perfect, and now we will develop it. So, to retrieve images or start to develop images, I need to find Gigi in our computer system. So what we do is look for the last name, and then we go through and see if we have x-rayed before, and if not, then we need to go ahead and x-ray. I've got Gigi pulled up. We're going to develop the x-ray through here. And then once it develops, we will go from there. Okay, now that the image has went through our developer, we're going to save it. And we open it. To view it, we'll open it on Patients and Images, and then we just double click the image that we took. That is the image, oh, that's a little too dark, that we got. And like I said, the tape doesn't show. and we got a pretty good x-ray. I'm still working on Gigi, so to do a VD thorax, we're going to measure the widest part of her chest. I'd say it's measuring about 18, 19. So we'll go to our chart here, and we have a spot here for the thorax. And 18, 19, the KVP needs to be at 86, and the MAS needs to be at 1.4. So, small animal, and then we're doing thorax. Okay. And then we're going to use the bigger cassette on her. I'm going to use the V-trough to lay her in. Right side. I'm going to put the marker down out of the way. Get her positioned here. We're going to do another method of restraint, and I'm going to tie her little arms together and pull them forward. That way I'm out of any of the view of the radiograph. Okay. Okay, I'm going to develop this. I have Gigi's account pulled up already. I didn't say this a second ago, but when you're collimating, you want to be at the first lumbar vertebrae. Is the good starting point of where you want to aim your focus at. Now that it's went through our developer, I'm going to save it to her file, and you can find it here. That ended up being a good x-ray too. That is how you do a VD of the thorax. Okay, so to do an LFA of the pelvic region, you're going to measure at the widest point of their pelvic area, and she is sedated for this, so it's going to be right through here. And she's measuring about 13, so we'll come over to our chart, and we're going to do bone. Her KVP needs to be 72, and her MAS needs to be 2.4. And then we're going to use a bigger cassette on her. our marker down out of the way, of course. And we're gonna put her to where the V trough is holding her, so that all that's on the x-ray really is her hips. You're gonna want to roll them forward. Like so, and make sure that the tail is out of the way. Perfect. Okay, now that we've got Gigi's name pulled up, we're gonna run this through the developer. And when it gets done, we'll save it and check it out. Now that it's ran through our developer, we will save it and view it. Okay, and we have our marker on there, and we have got a pretty good hip x-ray. Our clinic uses a software called TigerView to develop our x-rays. We do have the cassettes that hold our x-ray plates in there, and then we develop it, and then it'll come up on the computer. So to obtain a person's information on here to do the x-ray to where it'll save it and we can look at them at any time, we're going to add our patient, which will be Gigi, that we're going to be x-raying today. It'll ask for the patient's name, the species, and then the owner's first and last name. It'll flag you to make sure that you want to save the changes, and then you will choose the acquire portion of it, and then you will develop your x-rays. What you're about to see is Dr. Lindley and I giving the last 10 cc's of the barium for a puppy named Layla. She was hit by a car on Friday. We just want to make sure that she does not have a diaphragmatic hernia. We we're going to do our initial x-ray, and then we're going to do one at 30 minutes, at an hour, and then continue on until we make sure that it stays in the small intestine or completely leaves. What you want to watch out for is to make sure that you aren't giving this so quickly that they aspirate on it. You don't want to do that. You also do not want to get it on your clothes or your lead aprons or anything that's going to be around the x-ray. So putting a wrap around the dog, that way it doesn't get on their fur and get all over everything, because it will show up on an x-ray. So that is what we're about to do.
Ready?
Yep, we're going. Down the hatch.
There's my baby girl.
Good job. Yuck stuff. Huh?
Yucky. Yucky, okay.
Yuck stuff.
You just lay her. Hey, sweetie pie. Let me get her. Come here. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Go. Okay.
Good job.
Good job. Before. But yeah, let's do this one and then we'll. You're just laying here. Are you sleepy? Are you sleepy, girl? Huh? Oh, you so sweet. Oh, that's sweet, baby.
You do another?
Yeah, I'm gonna do an AP.
Alright.
Yeah. Straight up and down. Okay,
Perfect. I'll let you go.
there we go.
Good job.
We probably can wait. It's the GI tract I'm worried about. All right, did we already do these, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to show you the x-rays from our barium series that we've started. I'm going to pull up her record, so I just search for the last name and find her in our system. So this was our intake, first radiograph, and then this was right after we gave the barium. And you have to put the time, it needs to be time stamped so you know when the x-ray was. And then go ahead and did that one. And this is the most recent one that we have done. It is leaving and there isn't any extra in her diaphragm, so that is good news. Dr. Lindley said we can stop from here and do every hour to film it. So that is how you do a barium series.
Hi, my name is Jessica Molman. I'm a licensed veterinary technician, and I am Kelsey Hinton's preceptor. Over the course of her schooling, she has learned how to skillfully collimate and set exposures for her x-rays. She's also very skilled at positioning the patient for her radiographs. And she's also very good at finding minute details that go otherwise unnoticed, such as a hairline fracture on a radius on a small dog that we had a couple weeks ago. So she's definitely improved since last semester, but as always, there's always room for improvement, and that just comes with practice. She does a great job here at the clinic, and she definitely is an asset to this team.